All right. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:50, 7:10. Not see anybody online. We have to read in. Before we go into the community meeting, I do just want to make note. Acknowledge the passing of Free Glasgow last week. You didn't know here you was on our board for a time, and also the Park Foundation was a big supporter. I didn't know Harry well, but I am going to see him at events and the holiday party. I was like seeing him. I had a very nice wit and humor about him that I'm certainly going to miss. So just keeping him, his family, and Nancy Pierce, his partner, thoughts. Bill, I don't know if you wanted to add.
He was a great guy. He was the vice chair for a number of years. He gave a new definition to the word environmentalist in terms of his support for the environment and especially around trees. He pushed for many
I didn't hear
years
you say that again.
as part of our legislative package.
And where do I click?
Harry wanted the state to make sure that there was a tree credit somehow in every construction project. We take it down, that there was litigation associated with that. So for that, I'm not forget he was involved with the 4-H. He was every man to everybody. Which is really good. Thank you. Sure, Mike served with him at Linwood also.
With that, Mike, I'll turn it over to you for the Park Services Committee. I'll just note whoever is scheduled the times is very optimistic today. I just say within, 20% of the time allotted to this committee.
All right, now I will call the Park Services Committee to order. I don't know who I'm getting it off.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Lucier. I'm the Programs Branch Manager in Park Services. I have with me Shara White. She's our Events and Volunteer Manager. And I also have Beth Gallagher, who is our Events and Volunteer Specialist. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about our Summer Entertainment Series, a wrap up from 2025 and moving on to 2026. So just for a little bit of background on the Summer Entertainment Series, it was started in 1989. So for over 36 years, we've been featuring 40 plus different genres of music. This includes all sorts of different types of music, cultural arts, outdoor movies series as well. We also have our Arts in the Parks. It's a popular children's program, and it's puppet shows, magic, comedy, music, all for children. And the entertainment series is supported by the Park Authority, the Board of Supervisors, and donations by the Park Foundation. We also use a lot of volunteers and community partners with our entertainment series. So this past summer in 2025, we had just a little under 200 performances. This was held in the 10 supervisory districts and chairman series in a chairman series. We offer 14 different music venues, 8 Arts in the Parks venues, and 1 drive-in movie series. We had just a little over 35,000 people in attendance at all this. And it was a little bit of a rainy summer this year, so we did have 17 rain cancellations, but overall extremely successful summer. And this was supported, as I said, by 43 sponsors throughout the summer with the Park Foundation. So this is just kind of a general overview of all the different districts, the series that they offer, what the series names is, the locations that they offer for the Summer Entertainment Series, and then the Arts in the Parks locations that they have. Just give me a second to look at that. So this summer, we were able, or over the past year, I guess I should say, we were able to make a lot of great advancements with the entertainment series. We just had our new showmobile arrive a couple weeks ago. We're very excited about that. It was paid for by the Cable Fund. We ordered this about 18 months ago, I think. That's how long it takes to build one of those. But But we're very excited to have that for the upcoming summer. And we are in the process of procuring a 5-year sound contract. This will help us with our budget going forward and consistency with our sound bid. We also improved our summer entertainment series website. So that's a little screenshot there of it. Looks really great. Our marketing team has worked together with us to make this really vibrant and great for the public. We also got a new weather hotline. So when we had to make those 17 cancellations, it made it a lot easier for us this past summer. And our e-news was redesigned as well. This summer, we had our Outstanding Volunteer Recognition event. It was a special event we held in July where we recognized 20 different outstanding volunteers, as well as it was the 40th anniversary of National Park and Recreation Month. So there was a proclamation there as well. And this was a really successful event. It was followed by a nice concert afterward. This is kind of an overview of our 2025 funding. So through the donation funding, that's how we pay for our artist fees. We receive monopole funding for some of the districts, outside funding from grants, some other BOS funds, and then our general fund, which pays for tech, sound, and our marketing. So looking forward to 2026, we are having a budget adjustment that was accepted of a reduction of $136,000 from the general funds for the concerts. So this leaves us with our remaining $14,000 for the sound and tech. So I put down here what the reduction was specifically. It results in a decrease to the number of shows offered through concert series. The reduction will exclude the children's series, and the number of shows be a maximum of 8 shows per supervisory district. So looking forward to that.
I think that you said earlier 10 supervisory districts, so there's 9, but then we also have, there's 10 concert locations. We have the chairs concert things.
Okay, yeah. So it's 10 venues for summer entertainment series. So 8 concerts per district is how it will be spread out. And then each of the districts will also receive 6 Arts in the Park shows. And some of them, currently do not, so they will be getting that because that is different funding. And then there'll be a Pearman special event on the Ellipse.
And then the children's thing goes on as it is now in the districts it is, no changes at all in there.
There will be some changes to that, where it will be also spread out evenly throughout each of the districts, because it's not currently. Some don't have them, some have more, so,
Right.
yeah.
To trimming back the number of shows, are we gonna basically do it while Fairfax County Public Schools are out? Is that loosely the dates we're using? We're gonna skip most of June.
Yeah, it will be, we'll be discussing that with each of the districts on what the specific dates will be for it. They won't be the same probably at all of them, but, most
Loosely
likely
go later,
when they're out of school, yeah.
we're gonna skip the first couple loosely.
Yeah. And then setting the stage for 2026, that's pun intended. December, this month, we start meeting with the Board of Supervisors offices. And then in January, we start contracting our performers for the next summer. March, we have our final deadline for the lineup for the summer. And then April and May, we're into the logistical planning, the marketing, all that goes live. And then by June, our entertainment series will begin again. Shut that off.
With that, are there any questions?
We've been talking about.
So far, so good.
Me defending Allison, right? All right, let's go.
I don't think you can start the
Yeah,
next
we
one
can't
early.
Should have brought an entertainer in. Thank you all for your time. Stay up there.
Bro,
I'd like to call the budget committee meeting to order. One action item, the 2026 affiliate conference. Josh and Katie are on their county offices.
He's going to take us through a quick presentation on the feedback from the fees and approval process.
All right, so just an overview of the fee package timeline. So at last meeting in October, we introduced the fee proposal package. We had a public comment period. So now we're at this December meeting for your approval. Again, January is when the fee adjustments will take effect on January 1st. There is BOS budget action, so we keep that on there just in case, you know, what's coming forward. So there is the potential for an adjustment to the proposals based on what happens from the Board of Supervisors and then the new fiscal year in July. Again, so this is the schedule. So we see we're here at December 10th. So the board action to approve the proposed fee adjustments and with those fee taking effect on May 1st. So an overview of the public comment period, we had a total views of 635. And from that, the total comments, we had 36 comments. The summary table shown here doesn't add up to 36 because some people made multiple topic area comments within their one comment. So the area that got the most comments was rec centers. The summary of concerns was the large increase for the discount fast pass. So affordability concerns, especially for seniors. Some comments brought up facility issues, so some outdated equipment or limited access to pools due to teams and classes using the pool, and then a comparison of private gyms. So there was a total of 14 times these things were mentioned throughout the comments. The next highest number of comments had to do just generally about the fees. A lot of this stemmed from a misunderstanding of, you know, they were talking about tax dollars and bond spending, which is not what this fee proposal is about. There was also a perceived mismanagement of the county budget, but again, talking about the tax dollars. And there was a request for transparency on costs. So there were 9 different mentions from that general standpoint. The next subject area was garden plots with 7 different comments. The concern there being the sharp price increases over time, concern over poor maintenance, and then affordability for seniors. Golf got a few mentions as well, 6 different mentions. The primary concern being fee increases, which risk pricing out some golfers. I will note there was at least 1 or 2 comments where they said that good job and maybe golf, you should raise your fees higher. So it wasn't all bad. And then finally, we have some that had a few comments. So rentals, there were a couple comments about the shelter and pavilion affordability, and then a comment on admissions. So maybe raising the price for out-of-county visitors to be even higher than what it is right now, and asking, for continued free access to parks. And then there was one comment regarding the boat launch pass around the location of the payment at one of the parks and affordability. Okay, just a reminder on the overall fee approach, that obviously us raising fees and doing fees adjustments is just one part of our balanced approach to increased revenue. So there's, of course, cost management, program growth, and then new facilities as well. And again, the reason we need to raise fees and do those other things to raise our net revenue, one of the biggest ones being our deferred maintenance, where we have 201 million as of today with the assessment overall. And from that, for rec centers and golf, it would be fully funded or mostly funded by this net revenue is 70.7 million. And if we do not raise fees, projecting into the future for FY27, we estimate 2% natural growth. So that would give us 1.3 million in additional revenue, but then also projecting our increase in expenses. So if the increase in operating expenses, salaries, and benefits, we would actually have a net revenue of negative $1 million without any sort of increases in fees.
Could you go back one slide? I just wanna, so I think it's really important when you're looking at the, sort of without raising fees, because this is my least favorite thing to do. All of my staff know. In general, but when we're talking about how much is out of our control, so that we have the 2% natural growth, but there's a lot of burden placed on us, by the merit, and then not, we want to pay our employees more, but decisions that are made, by the county on how much merit and non-merit salary expense increases, benefit increases is a huge deal. They've started to sort of look at the bond, through our bond program, the bond, group or authority looked at a lot of our operations and said the way that we're funding benefits as a county wasn't up to snuff. And so the county rejiggered their benefits, and so more money from the county general fund is going into the benefits. And when they did theirs, we had to redo ours. So the amount of money that our benefits for our revenue fund employees are costing has gone through the roof. This year, the 10% increase is $1 million just because of that change. And so a lot of this fee raising is due to us keeping up with the county. Not saying it's good or bad or whatever it is, but there were years, a lot of years that the county didn't fully fund the compensation package. So that was a question as to whether or not we had to factor in increases. Now with our new reality, they are negotiating a standard COLA and not a MRI. Is that what it's called? MRA. And so with that standard, it's going to be an every year increase that we're going to have to be factoring in. So I just wanted to point a lot of the need for increased revenue is not we just want to make more money, more net. It's trying to keep our net safe, but then having to factor in all of those extra pressures that are put on us throughout the year. So I just want to put a finer point on that. I'll take the L if that put us over time.
Any questions on this presentation? Being and hearing none, is there consensus to move this forward?
Yeah.
You. I adjourn the budget.
Call the planning and development meeting to order.
No, actually, it's a Jay and Amy show.
It says Brendan right here.
Oh,
Stay there.
Thank you. Are you gonna, so, today we have, the Oleander and Margaret Banks Park. We are bringing to you a, recommendation for the board to endorse a, staff recommendation for development in this park. This park has a residential home in it. We'll go through the timeline for there throughout. You'll hear all this throughout the presentation, but I just wanted to preempt it just to improve a lot of things throughout the presentation and throughout the staff recommendation on whether or not to keep the house. And so we thought because of the sensitivity, the sensitive nature of the house and what it means to the family and other residents, we thought it prudent in the interest of open, transparent government to consider bringing to you in January a design that does not include the house to bring for discussion the whether or not we should remove the house as part of the design as a separate item to be endorsed or not endorsed, and then we will come in January with a design based on that. So we just wanted to acknowledge sensitivity of the matter and the passion that the family has to consider the retention of the house. It hasn't fallen on deaf ears or cold hearts. We're discussing the significance of Oleander and Margaret Banks' legacy. We fully intend to celebrate the legacy of Oleander and Margaret Banks within the design of the park, whether or not we retain the house. But in the spirit of transparency and respect for the family and the community, we decided to bring this matter to the board. We have been in contact with Ms. Carolyn Banks. We fully briefed them on what we were talking about. We invited them to come speak. She is here, and she will be hearing her testify later on in the board meeting as well. But we wanted to sort of go to the next thing, I think. Okay, so context of where we're talking about. This is in Franconia District, 7400 Old Telegraph Road. It's a 10-acre site. This area of the county has a rich African-American history of community and economic growth. The Banks family property is remembered as a community gathering spot for family and neighbors near and far, creating a pathway for the land to become a county park to maintain the same purpose. Slide. Okay, so we're going to go through a little bit of because I can't read that. A little bit of a timeline. So as a refresher for, I guess now it's half of the board is newer. So for those of you who were not on the board when we acquired the property. So it was purchased by Olander and Margaret Banks in 1957, who built a home there in 1961, at a time that it was rare for African-American entrepreneurship and personal land acquisition, and they raised their family there. In 2001, the Banks family sold the property to the Park Authority for $1.5 million. It was sold under fair market value in exchange for a list of requirements that family would like us to do. Which is normal for estate terms. So usually in a life estate, it's we sell for under fair market value in exchange for usually a life estate where they can reside in the home for X amount of time and other factors, naming rights, other things. So in this case, it was the terms of the sale included naming the park after Olander and Margaret Banks, Lomax Banks, to erect a park monument sign with the family name. Both of those things have been done. And to retain a 5-year life estate for Mr. Olander Banks, so he could remain in the house for 5 years. That life estate in 2011, Mr. Banks came to the Park Authority and asked for a, 5 years later, he came to the Park Authority and asked for an extension of the life estate. So we extended the life estate from 5 years to 10 years. And so until his death in 2011, early 2011, and then the family was granted permission to live in the house for an additional year. So we allowed past the passing of Mr. Banks, Banks family members reside in the house for an additional year. They left the residence in late 2011, and when that happened, the life estate was turned over to the Park Authority. So from 2018 to 2021, there was applications that were done by the Banks family to draft or add the house to the inventory of historic sites through the Department of Planning and Development to declare that the property historic. That there has been nothing that came of those applications through TPD. For a lot of those reasons, the Props House does not meet the criteria for the Park Authority's resident curatorship program. In 2022, FCPA conducted a historic structures report to determine how the structure of the house, the condition of the house, and what it would cost if we decided that we wanted to renovate it. Staff determined that renovating the house for public use was not feasible after having that historic structures report. And so in 2023, in an interest to open the park up to residents, Parks staff started interpretation talks with the family and Resource Management Division and Interpretation Division to come up with a plan for the house, or not for the house, for the property, to open the property up to the public. The Park Authority recommends that the house not be retained. Next slide. I'm turning it over to yes. Okay.
All right, I'm going to use this break since it is in Franconia and I saw Dr. Carter join. I'm going to read her into the meeting. So Virginia law authorizes the remote participation of board members, provided that a policy exists to ensure that such remote participation is consistently administered. This board has approved policy 111. Any such remote attendance must be approved by the board as long as the physical quorum of the board is actually present. Voices of the remote participants are able to be heard by everyone in the room, and remote participation includes policy. Step 1 is to verify that the remote participant's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for the meeting room, and a confirmation of the location. Dr. Carter, can you please state your name from where you're joining this meeting?
Yes. This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I'm joining from my home in Franconia District.
Thank you. I move that Dr. Carter's voice may be adequately heard from her location.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And the second motion is to verify the remote participant's physical absence comports with our policy. Pursuant to the Park Authority's policy 111, remote participation in public meetings, I move that Dr. Carter be permitted to participate remotely in this meeting because it comports with the policy we adopted and the physical quorum is present here at the Heritage Building, room 617.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? And that motion carries. Feedback.
So fast forward, the Park Authority held a public meeting last March and provided a presentation on the approved master plan elements and a staff recommendation that the house be removed, as well as park design concepts that celebrate the legacy of Olander and Margaret Banks. Next slide. Oh, wait a minute. That was slide 4. There we go. So in the presentation, it included the master plan elements, the staff recommendation, and the concepts that, with interpretation ideas. Next slide, please. So the March 20 meeting began a 30-day public comment period during which community feedback was posted to the Park Authority website. We received 91 comments total in support of and against the design concepts. These comments included a range of views from those who favor the retaining of the house to those who would like to see changes for a wider public use as a natural neighborhood oasis. Today, the Park Authority is presenting a recommendation to remove the house and asking for the board's endorsement. In January, the board will finish the deliberation and act on this request. Next slide. So the Park Authority will continue to engage the family and the community in developing the Banks Park to honor the legacy of Olander and Margaret Banks, while developing the park into an accessible, attractive space for neighborhood use. Whatever the outcome. Yeah. So I think that's you, Jay.
Okay, so the next steps, again, this is one of the here's not the word, uncommon ones where we're asking for an endorsement, because this is not an action to approve, because we just would like to make sure that we're going in the direction the board would like us to go to remove the house. The next steps, we wanted to make sure that we were, again, in the interest of open and honesty, we opened up, we have on our website, we've put all of the documents that we've referenced in here, the master plan, the letter of intent that was included for the sale, the contract of sale, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page as to how much the house was purchased for, the under fair market value, the life estate terms, etc. And then we will return with a design concept and scope approval for the project following this investment. Maybe January, we don't have time, right? January, February, we don't have time.
I'd like to take a moment to talk about Mr. Banks and the house. Had 3 occasions in my life to and I guess the main thing I'm thinking is that we've preserved other people's houses that in my mind may not have been as polished as Mr. Banks was. I mean, that were more polished than Mr. Banks was, but certainly all my encounters with him, he had his character, although they're not polished. Also, you know, the success that he had in his life, and he was a reasonably successful man, was in a time when blacks were suppressed pretty bad, especially in Fairfax County. An example, properties that were in Portland High School and Pine Ridge were in the same time frame. So Banks, did succeed and prosper and move forward. So I guess I just wanted to mostly say that his character and his success in the time when he was successful, very recognition, and I'm not saying we're not giving it to me, but in my mind, I give special consideration to the house as his house, as his legacy. It's like a 8-bedroom house or something like that.
27.
Yeah, it's not
27.
it's not a small house by any means, and it demonstrates its success.
That's a rooms. It's not bad.
Okay. It's not a little house. It's not a little house. It's not a little house. I will likely follow the lead of the board member that's district that it's in. What we're going to do with this house, but I could easily support the preservation of the house. Absolutely support giving Mr. Banks the recognition addition.
Why is this coming up now?
It's very difficult to keep, it's an attractive nuisance, currently. When we looked at, historic structures report. And because of the nature of the construction of the home and the individual, the 27 rooms that Amy was talking about, the roof line's too low. It would cost millions, multiple millions of dollars in order to, renovate this for any kind of, public use. And it's, right now it's boarded up. It's an attractive nuisance. In my personal opinion, I think it's doing a disservice to, Mr. Banks to leave it in the state that it is in. And so something has to be done with the area now, and we want to make sure we did. The reason why we're coming with a proposal for to do something, we were very clear that we were not going to come in, simply remove the house and not give the community something. And so we had to figure, so the finding the funding for both things was very, very important, that we do both things while still honoring the Banks family, that we take it, that by removing the house, we are adding amenity that was, part of the vision that he had when he originally agreed to sell it.
One of the very first slides, he said they sold to us under fair market value. And that to happen, we had agreed terms.
Correct.
I assume we have met all of them.
Correct. The terms were, so just to back up for people who don't, when we, and I'm being very layman when I'm describing this, luckily we're not lawyers, but so when we sell a house, in order to, especially when we're doing a life estate, the whole goal of a life estate is to try to not filter or have money leaving for people who doesn't need to go to. So we don't want to pay a realtor. We don't want to pay lawyers. We don't want, like, the least amount of money that the most amount of money that can go to the person we're selling the house to, and vice versa. But then there's a trust aspect of that, right? And so to do that, we create this letter of intent, which is a very layman's term letter that explains exactly, so he writes down exactly what he would like for the terms, and then it goes to the lawyers. I know that they're lawyers. Then it goes to the lawyers and they create a bill of sale. So we want to make sure that it's not like lost in the translation, so there's something they can go back. So the letter of intent is a very, very open, very clear one pager where he signs, so this is what I would like. And the letter of intent clearly states the amount of money to sell the property, obviously for a park, the 5-year life estate, and naming the park after and erecting a monument, which you've seen in the picture, I think before that, is there for the Olander and Margaret Banks Park. So those were the terms of sale.
So required.
Yeah.
I assume the reason it didn't meet our kind of review for resident curator was so far gone at this point, or what was?
The structure, interior structure.
Well, I had a comment I was going to make earlier about that, and give this the weight it deserves, but there's people advocating for preserving the Lindsay House on the prison property right now, and it is
So
100 times better shape than that.
So the
That's
Lin-
not ours.
the Lindsay
House is-
property,
The Lindsay property is not ours. It's the Board of Supervisors, thank God. But there are people rallying for preservation of that house, which again, doesn't touch this house. Just saying.
Okay. That's somebody else's decision, but in any case, that's the primary reason. We kind of reviewed it structurally, it's so far gone. Fair enough. That's it, thank you.
Yeah, Cynthia, and I was going to come to you whether you had your hand up or not. Certainly want to hear your opinion about this. Cynthia?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am very much torn. While I certainly understand the dangers that the house presents, we've had so many discussions over the years. This is right in my neighborhood. I pass by here that home quite frequently. There is much more I can say, but what I believe is that if there is any way to just temporarily make the house a little safer, I'm ready to start a real fundraising campaign to do what we can. I have, this is what my profession is, and the history and culture of this family of the people of Alexandria, this area of Alexandria. This is a very important structure. I totally understand that I'm probably out of sync with what we've said, what we've thought, where we think we are, and where we think we should be. But I want to give it one more push, and I understand it will cost millions. I raise millions all the time in my profession, and I have come across a way that I think we might be able to see if there's one other way to get funding that we need now. So I'm probably just asking for a little more time. And I would like to have a discussion offline about that. But that's basically what I wanted to say. I feel we need just a little more time to see if there's any other way other than totally removing the property as it stands.
To Kyle's question earlier about why this is going on, are we at some special decision point where not acting now? What Dr. Carter said, we delay 6 months, we delay 2 months, we delay a year. Is there anything particular that's problematic?
I think that the only thing is that we had identified funding through, was it bridge funding? How are we funding this? Yeah.
Offers and bridge funding, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, we just have to find the money. I mean, it's the hustle to find the money. We'd have to find the money again. I don't think that there's nothing like, it's
For
not
the
falling off of
demolition, you
the, for all of it. So we link the two things together. We don't want to do one without the other thing. So we found, I think, proper dollars. I think that we got some money from, the quick answer is I don't believe so. It's not falling off of the cliff or anything.
Let's just see. And if we need to back up, whatever. Do we have consensus to defer this decision?
I just want to ask one quick question. Do we know if there are other houses preserved houses in the park system that have this kind of history to offer visitors? Would this be sort of a unique offering to be able to have this?
We've not looked at what a residential house open to the public would look like. We generally don't do,
I'm sorry, so like African American owners and his history in the community and maybe, a few African Americans at that time that was successful in building a business. I'm just curious if we have other properties like that.
no, we don't, it's not deemed historic. So we don't preserve non-historic buildings. So it would be a first to say that we were gonna put in dollars to preserve a non-historic building.
What year is it built?
1950, no, 1960.
Completed like 61, 62.
This is the Brzezinski house all over.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do not have the money for this, but if there's not 7 votes in where I'm coming from, then there's not 7
Well,
votes.
Cynthia's asking for an opportunity to delay it long enough to give her an opportunity to raise the money.
Yeah, all that is gonna do is restore the house, and then we're gonna be expected to change it.
Yeah, that's my biggest hesitation on this. I don't mind the deferral, but if you go find the money, then there's a whole set of cascading things that need to happen in terms of architectural review, renovation, and then ongoing support for the operation of that house. We're scrapping right now every penny that we've got. If you'd be talking about another kind of foundation that would need to be set up to maintain this thing.
The time frame of this house and its success, though, in my opinion, deserves some interpretation. It is easily forgotten.
I'm not.
So, already
I
spilled
don't
my
have
beans.
I don't have a
I'm in
problem with
favor.
this. I don't have a problem with the historical aspect of it. I have a problem with the ongoing support of this house and the interpretation and everything that goes with that. It becomes a program and we don't have money for a program
Or staff.
or staff. That's, you know,
And I hear you, and I agree with what you're saying, but I'm not quite ready to go all the way down that road because I don't know what Cynthia has in mind for raising the money for the preservation. It may be a continuing source for interpretation also. I say that in a vacuum. Cynthia, Dr. Carter, maybe you want to comment on that, but
And there's two things just to keep in mind. So when you're dealing with a historic building and you're inviting people into a historic building, we have certain passes that we don't have to do because it's historic. That does not exist with a residential house. So we would have to completely change everything about the house, which would then deem it not very likely to be historic because we have changed, the roof line has to be raised. That everything has to be done to get people, so there's a difference between renovating it so that it's renovated, so maybe for a house, for a residential period, somebody living there. We're talking about having people come into it. That's a completely different, because you have to do all of the things. Like, we don't get a pass for the elevator, we don't get a pass for ADA, we don't get a pass for the sprinkler system. You have to do all of those.
I just,
Unless we're looking at a shell or something of that nature, which is why I said I wanted to step back to take it offline just to talk about a couple of other possibilities. So I understand the dangers. I understand we don't have the funds. I also understand that these types of projects are undertaken all the time. I see them, I work with them. That's my profession. And I just think if we could just take a little more time and weigh a couple of other possibilities that have just come to light to me. We may at the end of this road say we've done everything we can, we've tried, we can't do it, but I think it's worth a try for just a few more months.
It seems to me that if we're going to defer, that we need to have a real deadline first.
Yes.
6 days, 9 days, 30 days, whatever the deadline is. We can't just, because we'll just defer and defer and defer and defer.
No, no.
Because there might be another piece of cheese that we can go chase.
No, no,
but-
it would have to be a specific
Right,
deadline
so-
date.
So it would-
what's a good deadline in your mind?
I'm looking for 6 months to look into what I have just discovered. I'm looking into 6 months' time. So let's say June 30th.
But it also seems to me that it's not enough to have the money for the renovation or the overhaul or the rework, whatever the right word is for what would have to be done to the residents. That the commitment would have to be that you'd also raise the money to pay for programming for some at least initial amount of time minimum. I don't know that you're gonna come up with an endowment, large, whatever, but
Remember
it seemed.
all Cynthia's asking for is to defer the decision for 6 months.
I appreciate that. And I'm talking about the fact that if we're going to defer, I don't think it's enough just to defer for a fundraising plan to save the house itself. It has to be a fundraising plan for the house and all the programming and stuff that goes around keeping the house because of all the unintended consequences. The things Bill's talking about in terms of all the consequences are the reasons we got out of the house business and proactively got out of the house business and didn't want to do the house business and then through any variety of reasons end up with historical homes only because we had homes that were not historical and the upkeep and everything was horrible and we didn't want to get involved in it anymore. I'm just saying we should pay for it. We should come up with a plan to pay for more than just the renovation by whatever the deadline is, if we're going to defer.
What does deferral mean though? Deferral means reassess in 6 months. It doesn't mean have to have a grand plan. Are we moving forward? Are we not moving forward? Did we get anywhere? We have this, we just continue this discussion in 6 months with everything that you
I mean,
have.
deferral means whatever 7 people say it means. I don't know if,
That's what it means to me.
sure.
Okay.
But in practice, 7 people agree.
I will also state, this is a little different. I am on the Cape Charles Rosenwald School Board. We just had a similar thing. Yes, it's historic. We just raised millions of dollars on the Eastern Shore of Virginia, where nobody has any money for anything. Yes, my incorrect English. Nobody has any money for anything. But we just raised millions, and that structure is reopening right now, grand opening next month. And I was on that board, and I've met lots of people who made that happen. And I believe that, and the programming along with it. So this is all new, and I'm just saying, I think there are some ways that we can at least look at.
My request, I should say, is, to Mike's point, I've been given the direction that we're not in the landlord business anymore.
I understand, yeah.
No, I've also, am dealing with the Brzezinski property, and what do we do with the thing? And we have work plan issues of wanting to keep something on, and then I would need to know how this body is going to pay for the next thing. So the tents are all great. Money coming in is great. And I'm not saying to do it or not to do it, but if we're going, I would request as part of this, everything, I need to know everything, not just we want to keep help. What are we gonna do with it? What is the programming gonna be? How much is it gonna cost? What are we not doing? Are we gonna add that to the other thing? Is this now gonna be de facto one of the ones, the parks that are coming into to the portfolio for the 2026 bond? June is after we're gonna have the project list for it. Like, how are we, what's the plan?
Jane,
Yes,
what was the schedule for the design concept to come in, or was there?
January.
January.
We've got a design, we took a design to the public that they
Right.
commented on, that did not include the house. So we have designs. We did not want to bring that without the house, because then the conversation would be about the house and not about the options for the design. Design fully factors in interpretation of the bank's property, of the sign interpretation of how do we want to do some sort of a path of a structure where the house is with the picnic, whatever we want to do that interpretation does not necessarily involve retaining a brick and mortar residence. I think that's still open to conversation as to whatever that is. I just didn't want to, this is not putting something else, in the
I do not doubt that they has the ability to raise funds potentially to cover the renovation of this house. My concern is someone who represents a district in which such a white elephant exists. I feel extremely uncomfortable going down that route, and in fact delay this decision, and perhaps expending the money, and then we're stuck with something that is fixed up. We don't have the ability to staff it. We don't have the ability to maintain it. And we have two white elephants instead of one. So I would perhaps reluctantly make architects.
So, I mean, I'm just playing off what you said, Jay, in terms of, it could be that there's something that could, maybe there's a middle ground between our house versus like the current, more modest structure, if it's able to. I'm just wondering if like, there could be like, a sculpture in the shape of the house where,
all of those things are in part of a discussion of I believe both concepts have a picnic shelter type thing on there. We could talk about all of those things are on. There's a course of a different color between renovating an existing structure and putting something that
just for Dr. Carter's thinking as she's thinking about this, because I do favor, giving her to explore it. If there's thinking about the sustainability and the maintenance of whatever is the end result seems like a big concern for everyone, and it makes a lot of sense, especially given the budget environment. And maybe there's, it seems like there's a story to tell, and it's probably a story that is bigger than just, a sign or even a really nice sign that they've got there so far. And so maybe there's something that could be, like I've actually seen in the Building Museum and the American History Museum, they have sections of houses that are cut and transported there. And so another question I have is, are there other museums that might want parts of this house and the story Or are there, is there a way to do an art installation that would kind of mimic part of like a corner of the house or something like that, that would kind of give it a little bit more a little bit substantial and allow for more of a story. Anyway,
I want to call the consensus. Before I call the consensus, I'd like Cynthia to invite Cynthia just one more time to give any final thoughts on this. It is her magisterial district. She's lived within a mile of that the entire time I've known her. She's intimately familiar and involved with this process. With that, Cynthia, is there anything else you want to add to the discussion before we try to figure out what the consensus is?
Well, I think if we can go offline and have a discussion about this later, as I mentioned, that might be more productive. Trust me, I understand our apprehensions and all of that. There's not a lot more I can say right now because some of these new ways of funding have just come to light. So I need a little time to explore those. But I do thank you for giving this some consideration.
I mean, that's an option. I don't think we'll mess up our planning schedule or anything else to at least defer this consensus to demolish the house until the meeting in January 1st or 2nd. Cynthia, is that reasonable at this point?
I didn't hear the time frame you said.
So the first or second meeting in January as to
Yes.
as to
That'll
not
be
mess
fine.
up the planning and whatever.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Everybody good with that?
Pick one,
What's that?
pick one, first or second.
Well, the first is right after the holiday.
Okay, so the second.
So second, okay.
The second,
All right, so we're
The second.
deferring this discussion to the second.
the
meeting.
second would be better.
Point of order.
Yeah,
Does
that would be better.
Point of order, will that be an action meeting or is this deferring the consensus
This whole
discussion?
thing is not an action.
Well, no, it would be an action.
It would be an
at the
action
next
at the
meeting.
board meeting.
It's not an action, so
This is
I've not
information.
brought, I need to bring as part of the scope of a project, which right now, the scope of the project includes the removal of the house. So instead of bringing for your action the entire design, which we're bringing to cut other things, we wanted an endorsement of, so I guess technically you can
So we're not endorsing your plan right now. Come back in.
You can come back to
at
the
the second
endorsement.
meeting of January and we will revisit the endorsement or not.
And it is it's currently listed as an action item, so I assume it would be an action item at that meeting in January.
No, it's not on, no, it's not on tonight.
It's, no, but it's listed in the committee,
Well,
listed as an action item.
to endorse, it's not an.
No. No, my simple point is, when this, we can defer act, I don't want to come back and have this be an information item next time.
Yep.
I want to be able to move it. Okay,
Right, we're deferring a action of we're deferring the decision on endorsement or not until the second.
and does that screw up any
No.
work plan timeline, whatever, for you all?
So we have consensus for that?
Yes.
1, 2, Solona. That's how you say it, isn't it? Yes. I don't think dimensional breakdown standard. Or by J. Cole. Phil. Any additional history on this one to you?
Thank you. It's Tim Johnson right here. We'll have to remarks from my friend Mr. Thompson as well. We have history.
Good evening. My name is Sayonara Aguilera. I'm a project manager for the building branch in the Park Development Division. Tonight, I'm here to ask for scope approval for the Meadow Trails project at Solona Park. Solona Park is located in the Brownsville district, and other parks nearby include McLean Central to the west, Flemmy John Tree and Langley Forks to the east, Pemet Run, Stream Valley Park to the south. Salona Park is an historic property, and as opposed to other parks nearby, Salona does not have any pedestrian access at all. There are no existing trails, no sidewalks, no safe park entrance. To give you a little background on the park, as I mentioned, Salona House is the historic property itself. Back in 1814, one of the most notable events is that President James Madison and First Lady Dolly Madison found refuge at Salona during the War of 1812. Fast forward to 2005, Park Authority, the owners of the property, the Duval family, and the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, along with the Northern Virginia Conservation Trail, they entered into and signed an agreement to grant a conservation easement for 41.5 acres of the park. The area in yellow indicates the conservation easement area that surrounds the Salona House. The Salona House is not part of the conservation easement. Other park surroundings include the single-family homes, resides, townhouses, the McLean Community Business Center, and Pemet Run Stream Valley Park is also to the south. As I mentioned, it's very important to note that there is no features at this park. There is no pedestrian access, there are no sidewalks, no safe entrance, and there's no defined point for the public to enjoy this park. The main goal of this project is to activate the space as a smaller neighborhood park. And also, we want to maintain the site as natural as possible. With that in mind, the scope of work includes a meadow trail loop shown in green. This is approximately half a mile long, and it's on the form of a mowed patch. There is no land disturbance. The scope also includes some drainage items in the form of culverts, replacing one existing culvert and adding one between a new one between meadows 1 and 2. This is to maintain proper drainage along the walking trail. Along with that, we have a 4,400 square foot gravel parking lot, which would include 8 spaces. One of those would be an ADA space. Again, the point of this parking lot is to provide a safe entrance to the park from Buchanan Street to the northern meadows of the park. We would also include a park sign so the community knows it is available for the public, and also interpretive signage. Here are some examples of interpretive signage. We would like to highlight the site's rich history and also show and educate the public on the importance of land preservation and native meadow ecology. Now for the schedule, we are planning to complete design by the spring of 2026, permitting by the summer of 2026, and construction by fall of 2026. Sorry about that. Funding for this project is provided by the 2020 Park Bond Program. Based on the most recent cost estimates, the cost for the project is $420,000. Funding is currently available in the bond program, and it is already allocated for $200,000 for Salona Park. The additional $220,000 will be covered by the remaining balance in the Idlewood Road Bridge project. It is also identified in the bond program. Now, to conclude, I think the most important point to make is this project aims to balance public access, historical preservation, and natural resource conservation. And also, we have to remember to meet the conservation easement requirements. With that, the Park Authority recommends approval of the project scope for the construction of natural surface trails and a small parking lot at Salona Park. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I understand from your presentation that the park authority doesn't own this site.
Correct.
It has a conservation easement on it. How are you making permanent improvements to the site under a conservation easement?
The deed agreed and the conservation easement, they allow certain amenities and certain facilities to be provided for the public use. It would be operated as any other park, which requires maintenance. It requires engineering in some areas, and it requires a park sign. Again, all the terms and all the conditions are dictated by the conservation easement. And it is a perpetual conservation easement, so the park is allowed to use it, but the owners are still going to be the Duval family.
Right, so what my understanding is your explanation that under the easement, you can make these improvements.
Yes.
But then wouldn't the improvements be entitled to the landowners?
This is a very, very long story. It's also, so today's the day of the albatrosses.
This is the great bait and switch.
Correct. It's a very long story where the county wanted to acquire the property, so they paid for the conservation easement. I can tell you the whole story back and forth. But it's a very long one. But the intent of the easement was for the county to pay for it for public use. Originally for fields, and then it was for the conservation. So this was always the intent of the reason that they paid a lot of money.
Well, that's just the way you said that. When the county paid all that money, that was actually not their intent to just preserve it, was to put fields in. But what probably what you did it. I'm sorry to elaborate on that. It was very good.
It's not that somebody got paid a lot of money to have a nice front yard at our expense, really.
But that ship has sailed.
I understand.
That ship has sailed.
It's sailing. It's continuing to go.
But my question was, you put an improvement on this.
It's a great question.
It's a
It's
99-year lease, a 99-year lease, so.
99, so after the 90, yeah.
Yes.
I just want to know who owns those improvements.
And we could build rec centers on property we don't have that much time on.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, we'll have that conversation a little later.
I wasn't totally clear. Were you saying that basically it's just a mown path through the area and a park and a small
Meadow.
parking lot? Is that?
Meadow.
is that correct?
Yeah.
Tim, when did the life estate on this end? Because we're,
On this, no, the house isn't part of it, so
Okay,
that's
so
it, so it's that.
that's
that-
out of
that-
it now?
out of it.
It was always
Never
out of it.
was
It's
in.
never, the house is, yes, it's separated
So
out.
there really isn't any, there isn't any life estate.
Yeah, we just got the front yard.
Right.
Placement.
Census to move this. I'm sorry.
Placement of this park is actually good in the sense that although we were showing parks in other places, it's, Dolly Madison is like a very busy street that kids cannot walk on. So for kids in the neighborhoods and homeowners for walking dogs and such, they're just adjacent to this, they could walk there, whereas they could not walk to other green spaces.
Consensus to move forward.
Yes, sir.
With that done, adjourning the planning and development committee, calling the park operations committee to order. Who's going to present? Does it count?
Yeah. Does that pay me too?
It does.
Huh? Adam. Oh,
That's.
I'll take, if it's always good, I'll take credit for it.
It's good to look for it.
Hey, hello, everybody. My name's Adam Wynn. I'm a project coordinator with the Park Development Division, and I'll be presenting a Mass Brook grant request for improvements centered around accessibility for West Grove Dog. So West Grove Dog Park is a 1.3 acre dog park located in the Mount Vernon district. It's maintained in partnership with the West Grove Pack Friends Group. Dog park's divided into a northern and southern section primarily to allow for a rotating use to allow for the establishment of turf. While strongly supported by the West Grove Pack, the turf has maintenance and accessibility challenges. The popularity of the dog park means that for stretches throughout the year, the surface is mud and accessibility difficult. The closing of each of the sections for maintenance complicates ADA access routes from the designated spaces. And per ADA regs, and also supporting the goal of the park authority, a portion of this dog park must be accessible at all times the dog park is open. Over the last year, staff have met with the Friends Group and collaborated on a solution to install a partial area of ADA compliant wood fiber chips. It's similar to what you see in playgrounds on the northern side of the dog park, which is the area highlighted in yellow. And the reason for this is so that a portion of the dog park can remain accessible at all times. Stone dust surfacing is FCPA standard for dog parks, but the use of this specific mulch surfacing would be permitted as part of a one-year pilot program. The parameters of the pilot program are outlined in the addendum part of the MOU that was renewed earlier this year. And should the mulch surfacing pose any maintenance, safety, or accessibility issues, we have the ability to explore other options, including replacing this with stone dust. So this is the project diagram. The plan shows the long-term improvements for the north side, but this grant request is only for the mulch surfacing and the two accessible picnic tables. So that the area shown in gray is where the mulch surfacing would be. And it basically allows for accessibility in the front of the dog park and also around the perimeter, and leaves a turf area that you can see in the green. Again, the project description is to install ADA compliant mulch surfacing and 2 picnic tables to bring this up to ADA compliance. The project benefits are, sorry, my glasses. Obviously ADA compliance with the wood fiberboard surfacing, and then the 2 picnic tables to provide for all the diversity of uses. The project budget and funding. The project costs around $20K and will be split between the West Grove Pack and the Masterbrook grant, which would each be about $10K. The PROSA analysis, the park was reviewed according to the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Access Plan. So the park does not sit within an opportunity area, but it is within a 10-minute walk of a high-density area of the county. While the project is not technically checked the box for one of the PROSA objectives, it is required for ADA regulations and helps fulfill FCPA's mission of universal accessibility. And the fiscal impact, as shown in the previous budget slide, will be around $10K in the Park Bond Construction Fund. And upon approval of this grant, the new balance in the program will be $554,969. And the recommendation is obviously to approve. We put the cute dog there just to persuade you. It's to approve the 10,000 grant. And with that, questions, discussion.
So thanks for taking out the part that I support this. I actually do support it, but it's really a stretch to say that I support it. I can't think of anything in my 15-year history on the board that's caused me more strain and stress and is a bigger pain in the PIA as this park. A little bit of a history on it it was a struggle to get the dog park here in the first place, which actually is a completely appropriate place for a dog park, and that was never part of the problem. But the the adoption group has something that I like to refer to as stone dust derangement syndrome.
You're very much in support of the
And that was what was and has always been, I always wanted to see at least part of this park maintained as grass. So when it opened up as a dog park, that's what it was. And it didn't take long for the grass to fail completely. So we started thinking of ways to try to mitigate that. And if you see right at the edge of that box, the reason there's two boxes is because there's a fence between those two sections of the dog park. And the fence was put there with the intention of stone dusting the north end, which is the end with it that says project area in it. So we built the fence and we finished the fence and we were moving forward to put the stone dust there. No, let us try. Let us just try to close one end at a time and try to maintain the grass because of the stone dust derangement syndrome, in my opinion. So anyway, we did that and that failed. And we've been hearing excuses for a decade now of what we need to do different, drainage, various different other things to make it not be a mud hole. And it's consistently been a mud hole 90% of the time. I'll even be generous, 80% of the time, the entire time that it's been there. So what this represents to me tonight is finally at least an option of providing a 365-day-a-year surface so you can close the larger part for longer periods of time and get grass to grow. It's not the ideal surface in my mind, stone dust is, but this represents to me honoring the last request of the adoptive group request that they've ever made, is to try this surface. And at the end of the year, we talked about a project period at the end of the year, we'll reassess, but I support it because this is the last thing we've ever been asked to do to try to preserve this as a grass surface. So with that said, I hope you'll support this MASPRO grant. And they, in their defense, they have raised a lot of money. They've done a lot of nice projects, and they always put their money where their mouth is. You know, they are bringing $10,000 to the table as well. So that's all history I have to offer. And
I think I read that maintenance is on them, on the.
Correct.
Yep.
MOU has performance metrics for what we consider a successful surface mulch.
And you're doing monthly checks.
That's part of it.
Weekly checks.
Oh, they were doing weekly, and you were doing monthly, okay.
We inspect it.
Question.
it's not hard to check. You can see the mud from the road driving by.
I think we're ready to. Everybody go with this?
This is all they ask until they ask the next time.
No, I really think this is the end, and I think that's
I will say, since we've taken a lot of time on this, I will compliment staff. Staff have been more than patient in working through this for a while. I don't know that the question of whether or not grass is good for dog parks is really a question out in the cosmos for most people. It's a pretty cut and dry answer for people who are in this business. So I think that one of the things staff have been very flexible and patient through this opportunity and working through.
absolutely, they've been nothing but saints through this whole process for absolutely a decade. And if you can, most of the people that have had to deal with this are here tonight, with one person who not as willing, it was take the cloth, some need to pass along thanks for this. Consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to adjourn the Park Operations Committee.
All right, all. We can hold. So I don't think is a committee that I've never had before.
Yes, you have.
Have I?
Rarely, but you have.
We have the Park Foundation coming before us. I think they're hiding behind.
This is historical. Yes.
Last year at this time.
It is,
No. That's 6 weeks. 6 or 8.
Bobby, the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Well.
Introduction.
Yes, go ahead.
That was done?
Oh, no.
No, please start there.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Laura Aiken Erlocker, Chair of the Fairfax County Park Foundation, together with Bobby Longworth, the Executive Director. We are here tonight to present the fiscal year 2026 unrestricted fundraising plan for central operations. Here's the agenda that we'll be going over. Little background, what we're doing to increase these the funding that we need to raise, in addition to how we'll reassess it come mid-fiscal year and going forward into the end of the fiscal year. So a little background, when the county executive required a 10% budget reduction across all the county agencies, the Park Authority, in its reduced budget, made a recommendation for $300,000 to offset staff salary. And the Board of Supervisors split that $150,000 over 2 years. The first $150,000 being due by June 2026, and the second $150,000 by June 2027. Next slide. So here's a little bit of history of the unrestricted giving. We show 4 years of what we've raised in unrestricted gifts, averaging about $132,000 over those 4 years. So that just gives a little sense of what we've been able to raise. Now, going forward with this fiscal year, we need $150,000 for the staff salaries, and then an additional $100,000 for operational expenses. So bringing it to $250,000 in unrestricted funding. And currently, as of the end of November, you see we've raised $120,867 since this fiscal year began, leaving us needing to raise an additional $129,133. Next slide. In our current fundraising efforts, we're being very transparent because this is the first time in the foundation's history that we have had to raise money for salaries. And so what we've done is really tried to make that case for unrestricted giving in how it will help give us flexibility. It will help the Park Foundation remain viable and sustainable, because without our staff, it's nearly impossible to continue what we've been doing. And so we are getting, based on the numbers to date, we are getting some positive feedback on the unrestricted giving. Again, I want to emphasize, because that is what I call our secret sauce over the years, is that we can go and tell people that all of your dollars are going towards the project, the park, the program of your preference. So it's a little bit of education as we try to raise these funds. Okay, next slide. So what we're doing to encourage the unrestricted donations is we've developed a benefactors group. And what this is, it will recognize those donors who donate $250 or more in this essential benefactors group. And they'll be recognized on the website in our monthly newsletters. And so it'll grow awareness of this essential operations need. In addition, the park, I just want to emphasize the Park Foundation was incorporated 25 years ago this month. And so we're really going to leverage this 25th anniversary throughout the calendar year to continue the future of the foundation. I am, very fortunate. I was on the first board of the Park Foundation when it was created in 2000. And it is really my hope that we will continue this successful trajectory, raising $22 million to date, $5 million alone in last fiscal year. So it's really, from being there at the beginning to see where it's gone is it's very rewarding to me. And I really hope we continue this collaboration. Next. So the unrestricted giving programs, we are really emphasizing these in our typical solicitations, the workplace giving, monthly recurring gifts. With grants, we will, when applying for grants, we will, where allowed, ask for unrestricted funding in those. We've increased the cost to sponsor benches and trees to make up a margin for those unrestricted funding. Our car vehicle donations are mostly go to unrestricted. So we've had a couple of nice donations recently that have helped with that unrestricted. The board, the foundation board, we have a goal of 100% participation. And we've really been emphasizing that it be unrestricted so that we can continue to be a foundation. And then in the individual donor requests, and you'll see this in another place, but there are certain people and donors that the staff has really developed relations with over the years. And it's going back to them in some instances and saying, you've donated this. This is a new effort to raise these unrestricted. Would you be comfortable? Would you be willing to designate a portion of your donations to unrestricted? And we have seen some success with that. In addition, we, the typical, I want to emphasize that we usually historically have gone out for unrestricted funding just in the year-end appeal. And we've elevated that, the importance of it in both our spring and the Giving Tuesday a few weeks ago. Okay, next slide. And here are the communication tools that we have historically used and will continue to use. Just again, amplifying the need for the unrestricted funds and why. And in addition, we have 4 new board members. And so with that, using staff and the board members as ambassadors to also, again, educate and communicate the importance of unrestricted in any giving. How are we managing expenses? The staff has done a really good job in finding places where they can be leaner. The CMR software transition, which is overdue, but in addition to cost, it takes a tremendous amount of oversight. So that's been on pause. Any non-essential foundation spending has been reduced, conferences, training, and that's all non-critical. There's some that we still continue. Promotional materials, we continue to just utilize what has already been purchased and we hold in inventory. And then the donor designated funds, instead of using unrestricted funds to support projects where we might use unrestricted funds, we're really limiting that to support park projects and programs where we might have dipped into those unrestricted funds in the past. Next slide. So this is, the first of the year, we're gonna assess after the year-end numbers, because we'll have Giving Tuesday and we'll have the year-end appeal. Excuse me. And so we'll assess how successful we were in raising those unrestricted funds, and then determine, do we continue that emphasis in the spring appeal? And then in March, we'll again reassess the unrestricted revenue that we've brought in. And if we're still finding we're a big gap, we'll consider change in mandatory reserve requirements, and adding an administrative percentage of any gifts that come in following that. And then hopefully in June, we'll be transferring $150,000 to the Park Authority, and we will do a full analysis of that effort, and then strategize going forward for the fiscal year 2027. And so, I just want to close on this. I think it's, again, I emphasized, there's about a decade I wasn't involved, but just how much it means to me that we've been here this long, what foundation staff and board has been able to accomplish in these 25 years. So I just want to emphasize, we look forward to continuing this collaboration, and again, hope we get another quarter century to continue to enrich our parks. So thank you for this time.
Laura, thank you very much for coming. Questions, comments from anyone?
So if I understand the goal, the fundraising goal is about $150,000. Is that for this year?
For the salaries,
Yeah.
and then the additional operational expenses, which we have typically funded from the unrestricted donations that have come in over.
Yeah. If I remember from the report, total assets for the foundation are 5.7 million, right?
With the majority of that being designated.
Yeah, restricted, unrestricted.
4.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'd love to have another conversation with you all and your board. Data that I've had talks about a robust, set of assets for a foundation for a park system our size to be $10 to $50 million with a $2 to $5 million a year package, to the park system. So that would be a goal that I would want to talk to them about.
Okay. I think it's worth continuing this conversation beyond just, what they're talking about is the immediate concern right in front of us. I think we'll have a bigger discussion as well. Jonah?
A few questions. One, just the content for this presentation. Is it just to basically brief on this?
Yeah, I think it's that, yes. but it's-
Shortfall or the,
Yeah, and I don't know there's three other items on this agenda. I don't know, Bobby, you're covering any of them or somebody else is?
Sure, those are coming through.
Can I ask a question about this?
Hold on one second. So I think this is part of a list of things. So I think this is a particularly important because it's new and it's an additional.
gotcha. So this is just a picture of the giving, the fundraising that's unrestricted, but then the other fundraising, which is I think what
Yeah.
Mike was referring to is not included in that number.
This is correct. Because for 25 years, we had, on average, we checked a couple years ago, 97.5% was restricted because unfortunately, we did too good of a job sending that message, what Laura called the secret sauce, that 100% goes to the park program or project or event.
So when you mean restricted, you mean restricted to like a specific program or an event? And then are most of our donors small donations? Are they small, like donating in small increments, or is it kind of a mix?
It's a big mix.
And so
Last
for
year, we have some
unrestricted,
major.
though, sorry, unrestricted, it seems like they're smaller donors. Is that?
Overall, there might be there are a number of 5-figure
donors that give to unrestricted, but yes, they're largely made up of smaller donations overall compared to the designated donations.
And then one last question, I didn't notice any corporate giving in that list. Did I just miss it? Are you getting any corporate donations?
We are. Most of those are designated to align with their corporate missions. And it's rare for them to give to unrestricted, especially to one that supports a government agency. Some are prohibited from that, such as utilities and things like that. So, but yes, we definitely do include many organizations and corporations.
Thompson?
Yeah, just the one thing that strikes me about this specific process you're going through is that since this is to pay the salary and operational pieces, right? That's what you're trying to raise.
And the operational, yes, both
Yes,
of them.
that's the,
Correct.
in order to make it work, you don't need a big donation at the end, because otherwise somebody's getting paid for a while until that big donation comes in. You need to have a monthly amount either already in the bank, but you need some consistency of donation coming in or to get it covered early to pay out the year.
Correct. That's why we've started the entire year.
Right.
Yes, correct.
So, and you're on the same, when you say fiscal year 2026, is that the same as the county fiscal year?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, so of your 250, you're 129 short, basically 5 months into the year.
Correct.
Okay. Are you comfortable with where you are, that you're not going to have a disruption? And if you think you're going to have a disruption, do you have a plan to deal with that?
I think that goes back to, we have a mandatory reserve. And so we hold funds in
And you
that.
pull out of that reserve to make
If
sure that
the
you.
board approves, yeah, we reduce that percentage. And then going forward, adding an administrative fee. We have not done that on gifts. But no, I mean, I think if you look, if we continue raising the unrestricted, I'm impressed to where they've gotten to the end of November. So again, we have another, hopefully, 2 big appeals coming in, or one major appeal coming in with end of year solicitation. And then I'm not too sure Giving Tuesday what the returns are on that, because everyone's bombarded on those days. But so that's what we're facing. And again, this is unprecedented, and I think the supervisors
It's
said.
unprecedented for Fairfax County, perhaps. It's not unprecedented for a foundation to support its staff.
No, yeah, unprecedented in that it's trying to raise this money. Yeah, no, I agree.
Where is the March a decision on both mandatory reserves and administrative for whether or not to add one? Or is that just the first time you guys are actually officially discussing?
Well, it would be up for, I mean, it would have to be a board decision.
No, I understand, but my question is, have you talked about either of them before? And it's only coming up for the first time in March? Or is you've been having discussions and leading towards a decision in March?
The board's talked about it, and we've created this. This isn't just a new presentation, so this was the plan all
Okay,
along.
so the answer is you're planning on making a decision on those items in March.
If not March, by May, in time to be able to transfer the 150,000, correct?
Okay. Can you give a summary of kind of how those discussions have been going? Let's have a way anybody's thinking or leaning or anything related to that.
You can call it. I know.
No, I think, we're trying to really push on these appeals, these fundraising efforts. And again, it would be, the board would get together and decide, is this in the best interest? Our goal is to meet it. And again, we'd have to assess, is this, it's the viability of the foundation. And as board members, we have to, what we're doing, are we gonna we're stewards of these donations. And so anything we do, we want to make sure we do it right by the foundation, but also don't want to create a situation where we can't, we'd have to go out to all these donors and ask for, if the foundation was not to continue and not be viable, there would be a lot of work to do. So we're
And the only one who can ultimately decide whether the foundation is viable is us, and we created the foundation. There are obviously cost ramifications of that. Be that as it may, it sounds like the way you're viewing the administrative percentage right now is that's more of a Hail Mary if all else fails. If the undesignated stuff doesn't come into the form, then you would add that. It's not looking at it as a proactive thing. Whereas
I would say we've been very proactive in.
no, I'm just talking about adding the fee. Like that seems to be something you don't want to do unless you actually have to.
It's just a transition to the messaging that 100% goes to the park program, project or event, to switching to this. There are many appeals that are pending, that are out there. People save their appeals, sometimes up to a year till the year end when they decide what to donate. So just to ensure that the foundation stays in good standing, that transparency to make that transition was very important. So that's what this year is all about.
Okay.
And I also would like to add that we're very heartened by the individuals who have donated with small gifts, also with large gifts, to unrestricted donations to help out with this. We didn't know what the response would be, but we tried, and we tried to be appealing, but we also ensured that we were very transparent as far as the use of these funds. Up to last year at this time through November, we raised about 25,000 in unrestricted. So the fact that we are so much higher this year is a very positive response. And this is during the current economic climate. So I'm very heartened. We are very touched and are ensuring that even those who may not have been able to continue their monthly giving, who have lost jobs or have dealt with different changes, that we are communicating with them and trying to engage them and keep them as part of the family, because we remind them that your parks are still here for you. Thanks for being here for your parks as you can.
Questions from anyone else? Faisal?
Yeah. So let's say if you were to forced to add this administrative fee, so how does this work out at the end? Let's say if somebody donating X amount of dollars, would they get acknowledged for the amount they donated or minus the percentage?
It kind of depends, but if we were to have an appeal for something like the second mobile nature center vehicle, that understanding would be communicated within the request. So that would be made straightforward. If there are a certain percentage that would come out for administrative fees for various types of giving, then we would have that transparently communicated to those donors.
But the donor if the donor gives $1,000 and a percentage comes out, the donor still gets the tax write-off of $1,000 because it's all at the C3.
Yeah, that's fine.
They just are taking a fee off of their administrative side.
Sure. Now, of course, if there is a grant or something that absolutely will not allow for an administrative fee, we don't want to turn it down. We want to accept it and find those unrestricted funds for essential operations elsewhere. But we are encouraging all that type of giving to include that.
Anybody else?
Can I just ask a quick question? So for the March 20, so this is just for this next year. Are you gonna do a different schedule like moving forward? For the when to, because the only thing that and I say this not looking to my left and knowing there might be somebody from the BOS who's, here right now. But with the budget, no matter what, Pat Harity is taking.
Yeah, because Pat's taking.
Right, because Pat's taking, because he's here.
But he's on his phone ignoring us too.
Fine, if I say Pat multiple times. Maybe he'll look up and listen, possibly. I don't know. No, he's missing the whole thing. So March to June, which is the beginning of the fiscal year. So if you reassess the unrestricted revenue, are you gonna, like, next year have a time where you have the option of doing the administrative fees in time to make because I got $300,000 gonna be coming from my budget no matter what. So it's scared, the board considers mandatory reserves. Are you gonna be nimble enough to be able to add things or whatever it is to make the deadline? See what I'm saying? Like, I have a hole in my, I have a 150 hole in my budget. I'll have a $300,000 hole in my budget starting June 2027, that we will cover, right? But we have, it has to be filled. So the March to June for the board, what happens if your board votes and doesn't consider using the mandatory reserves?
Well,
I guess it's my
we do have this as transfer 150,000 in June 2026, no matter what.
But that's my question.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Is that the board consider, okay.
Yes, if we don't have
I
it
think it's
in
different now because it's the
donation
first year.
amounts.
And you guys know where you're going and what you have. I'm thinking of 3 years from now, Bobby's not sitting here anymore and somebody else is not maybe as successful as Bobby is. At what point is we're not gonna make it, type of thing to reassess. So, okay.
That's fine, Laura.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That was okay.
just, thank you for, allowing us to meet in person. It's a treat. And as the chair of the board, I'd like to be more engaged with you all and with the rest of the board members. We have another fiscal year coming up and really, it's collaborative. It's a really successful story and it's hard to raise funds, when people are paying taxes. I always go back. So I think we're stronger. We're going to be more successful if we're working together. And that's what I'd really like to emphasize.
Thank you both. Dr. Carter, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, because I am the liaison to the foundation. First, I want to congratulate them on their good work and their presentation to us tonight. And I want to pledge to work more closely with you, and maybe more of the board can be even more involved going forward so that we can indeed find ways and work on ways to increase our fundraising efforts and results. So I hope that is something we can all maybe be amenable to, but I think there's more that we can possibly do. So to help, put it that way. And I am the first in line to say that for myself. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cynthia. And I know that Dr. Cynthia works with gift planning. And we have reached our 85th individual who has a smaller subset of them have already contributed via a bequest or other gift planning type of vehicle. And more people are including the Park Foundation in their will for estate plan.
That is
And
excellent.
yes.
That's not an easy thing to do. So that's great.
There's one other item. It's the Park Foundation FY 2026 fundraising project list that was in your packet. And there will be a need to.
That's an action item.
Yes.
It's this is the committee, the whole, so it has to move as a consensus.
I understand.
We seen that here, or we are supposed to have read that?
Supposed to have read that.
Assuming that most of us did, is there a consensus to move that item?
I had a question.
Yes.
Because I see the list of projects there, but I don't see, and you have specific numbers assigned to each of these projects, like 13,000 for open space, 28, but I don't see anything on how you're gonna rate I know where it says grants and that, but that's broad categories. You had to have some sort of number to come up with for each of those things.
Yes. Correct.
What are those numbers?
Sure.
Sort of thing.
The consideration of how we come up with the fundraising targets for, in this case, FY 2026 are based on any, we consider any grants or major gifts that we are aware that are forthcoming. So we know about those. We look at our focus. Obviously, it's unrestricted essential operations this year. So we consider that. And we try to look at the trends and see if there is anything different just overall. What these numbers are in this column, just under the number 3 here, is that these are numbers that coincide with our income on the Park Foundation's budget. And this presentation has come to you a little late. We actually do this in advance of the fiscal year. There were a couple delays, but these coincide with that. Fundraising targets, we always like to say, and almost always stand behind and have results, that these are minimum targets. They are not a max by any means, but these are funding. These are numbers that we believe are realistic, but also a bit of a stretch without being, that might be realized.
So you have a target for like your direct mail. You have a target for
Yes.
how much for grants
Of course.
and targets. I think I'd
Yes.
like to see those
Okay.
targets at some point.
Sure, we've not provided that in the past, but I think we can certainly provide that. We look at each fundraising appeal, what's the average of that, and what might have changed to influence that. Monthly giving has changed. There have been a number of people who've reached out to us that they are no longer able to do monthly giving. So, but we try to make sure we keep their foot in the door. They still love their parks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consensus to move the project plan forward, fundraising plan forward. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments for Bobby or Laura? All right, well, thank you guys very much for coming. We are adjourned. And although we are 12 minutes behind, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. I can stretch my legs.
We wanted 12 enough. Okay.
Mike.
How we got?
You're not allowed. You're not allowed. You stay.
Nice.
Take your ambulance.
Oh, dude.
Maybe I've got.
All right, we are back in business, boys and girls. Andy, do we have any speakers this evening?
Yes, we have 2 speakers this evening. Our first speaker is Supervisor Pat Herring, who's here. And then, as was alluded to earlier, our second speaker will be Carolyn Summers, who is joining us virtually. Each of these speakers will have 5 minutes per our meeting rules, and I'll be timing them. So please stick within our allotted time for each speaker. If you hear beeping, that means the time has expired.
See, I thought I was coming to a Board of Supervisors meeting, so mine's only 3 minutes. That's all we get, unless you're the chair of an organization. So I think I'm gonna actually sit down, like, I'm gonna read part of this. First of all, I want to thank you all for what you do for our community. I always start with that. Service, whatever kind is important and critical. And our parks are some of our most important things we do for our residents for our parks. Something I was at Thomas Jefferson speaking to students today and always remind them everything we do is local first. And that includes parks. I want to thank you for your work in the sports tourism area, which I think is something that we need to continue to partner on. And as you know, I've been an advocate for increasing park maintenance. I think I'm going to say we need to make some significant strides in park maintenance, and you've got a active listening, doing person in getting that done. I'm here tonight to talk about, on behalf of a group of residents, that thanks to Amy, have been helping maintain some of our historical parks. And I want to thank you for working with them and getting them back engaged. But this is an issue that's been around since 2005. For those of you that aren't familiar, and I do have a package that I've handed out, and I'm going to go quickly through this, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. For those of you who are familiar, back in 2005, the Park Authority approved the master plan for Ox Hill Park. And the document called for 3 focal points within the park: the Kearney and Stevens monuments, and a monument for Union soldiers located on the path of the Stevens attack, and one for Confederate soldiers sited in the cornfield to the west. The main reason for the markers in this battlefield park was the deed provisions of John and Mary Ballard, stating that the lot was given specifically for the purpose of commemorating any Confederate or Federal soldier who fell in the battle. Generals Kearney and Stevens were already memorialized, but no Confederate soldiers were, nor any Union soldiers, except for the 2 generals. Thus, the Ox Hill planners had an opportunity to fulfill the Ballard's deed provisions and provide park visitors with a complete battlefield experience. In 2016, the Memorial Committee designed 2 obelisks, the Chantilly and the Ox Hill. They were produced in 2017. Public announcement was made on Memorial Day, May 29, 2017, to schedule their dedication on September 9, 2017. While the markers were funded in part by Visit Fairfax, historical groups also came together to raise the remaining funds for the markers, totaling about $40,000. In good judgment, the committee decided that the design of these markers would not celebrate the Confederate soldiers, but only mark where they fought for educational purposes. One side of the markers, and you do have what's actually on the markers in your package. One side of the markers display the state and regiment number of the troops who fought in the battles. The other side of the marker is an inscription with the excerpt from Reconstruction era poem. You go to the Ox Hill site today, you'll see a sign that explains the history of Ox Hill and references these markers as indicators where the Union and Confederate lines stood. So they're actually on the map that's out there now. Unfortunately, the markers have not been installed to complete the educational experience for people who visit the park. On July 11, 2017, due to the riots and protests in Charlottesville and around the country, the Park Authority announced a postponement of the Ox Hill marker dedications on August 18, 2017. Times reported that the Park Authority had suspended the installation plans indefinitely because concerns for public safety. Markers have been sitting in a warehouse ever since. In more recent years, I've heard opposition to the markers primarily due to the poem that's inscribed on the markers. The poem on the markers is called "The Blue and Gray" by Francis Miles Finch, and I've attached a copy for your reference. According to the Historical Society of New York Courts, Francis Mills Finch wrote the poem in 1867 after reading a short account in the New York Tribune about 4 Northern women who honored the shared humanity of both Union soldiers and Confederate soldiers who died in the Battle of Shiloh by throwing flowers on their graves. The poem was published in the Atlantic Monthly in 1867 and immediately became popular across the country as an expression of national reconciliation. The poem was often read at Civil War soldiers' funerals during Memorial Day celebrations or ceremonies. In honor of the Reconciliation Act of the 4 women, many consider Columbus, Mississippi, the birthplace of Memorial Day. Historically, this poem has never been viewed as honoring the Confederacy or Confederate ideology. On the contrary, it was seen as an acknowledgement of the collective loss of the country on both sides on the conflict after such a horrific war. National popularity of the poem, written within 1 year of the end of the Civil War, further indicates that Americans in northern states did not interpret it as honoring the ideology that has so recently torn apart the country.
Supervisor, can I ask?
Am I done?
Submit the written comments, so.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. But I've got most of this written already. Am I done?
I have, oh, okay, perfect, yes.
I'm up. Sorry. Wow. So anyway, I've also been told that there are no monuments. We gave some examples of monuments to other lost, who have lost wars. Bill, I put some in there because I know we've had conversations. I've had some conversations with you. I would just ask you to consider a lot of community time and effort went into these. I think it's time to put the markers back in place, and I'm happy to talk to any of you individually, and I'll probably follow up with you later. But these residents would like to see it done in their historical markers, not mine. With that, good luck. Step off the stage unless anybody's got questions.
Thank you very much.
I thought I was going to do better than that. Anyway.
I didn't know how everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now you know how we feel.
I love that. You're a brave man.
Our next speaker is Miss Carolyn Summers, so I want to ask her to unmute herself. And Ms. Summers, you'll also have 5 minutes for your public comment.
You're muted. You're still muted, Summers.
If you see a microphone icon with a line through it, if you'll click that on your screen, then hopefully we can hear you. You call in using our phone.
We can't.
We still can't hear you. You're still muted.
I don't think she.
Oh, I think
She'd be right back. There was somebody that was helping her at the beginning.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you. First of all, I'd like to give condolences to Mr. Harry Glasgow, the passing of Mr. Harry Glasgow. He is definitely a mentor when I first came in with the Park Authority Board. So I do give my condolence to the Park Foundation, the Park Authority Board, and those. And I just want to say that. I'm here tonight on behalf of my father, Mr. Orlando Banks Sr., during the time of the transitioning of my private home becoming a park, I spent much quality time with my father and also with the Park Authority, availing myself at every opportunity in which assistance was needed in order to make the public aware that the bank's home and property was going to become a public park. And during that time, I was asked to assist the photographer during the press conference. So at the press conference, and also during the time of the photo shoot, it was always our understanding that the home was a part of the whole picture, the combination. It was always felt that within the communication, within the press release report, and even if within the photo shoot and the video that Mr. Don Sweeney conducted for my father. And if you go back and kind of like look at some of the pictures, and it was his home, he was daddy, I was right there with him. He was stating a lot on his home, why he built this home and what he wanted to do and give it back to the community. And that was why my interest was to be the first care provider of the home, so I can again begin to assist and work directly with the Park Authority to avail the materials, some of the information, and to assist with the maintenance of the home. So I'm here as I honor my father and just speak on behalf of my father. His voice, he believed that his home was part of the whole picture at 80 years old. So yes, we can speak about the community at large. We got 1957. Many people know that, and I advocate very much. I know the impact during that time, and I think we've all said that across the board at 1957, going into the structure, the opening up. Opportunities, the love. But the main thing I want to say here is that my father truly believed through communication and publicity that his home was part of was part of it, part of the total package, and he was proud of that. And he was proud of that. I cannot speak about, programming. Okay, well, how can we bring students in? I can speak about those things. However, that's at the moment, I don't believe is my position. I just know as a care provider for the last 5 years, I'm being in his home, and it was bittersweet, but again, he trusted and felt that that it was his home as well. And again, if you look at recordings, Don Sweeney, was a lot of focus on the house and what he was going to do with the house and what he wanted to do. He and his wife leave it to the community at large. I think we all know that there was some discussions regarding the care provider of living in the home. I avail myself. I avail myself to the assistance because those things are quite like innovative and thinking with children and some of the programming. Again, I want to just stay with that's what Dad believed in his heart of hearts, that it was his home as well. And we can speak about the three things. I don't want to go technically into the contract. What did the contract say? Again, that overall, the position of that house and what it stands for, and at the time, and mainly, again, I'm very close with my dad, I'm very close with my mother, I'm very close with many people in the community. I could be the very historical figure that you're looking for. In 1967, with Hayfield Elementary School being the first Black and that first grade class committee survey, again, I think more effort should be put. Well, Dr. Carter definitely said that she was going to speak and see some other positions that could be taken, but I'm here to voice for my daddy because I'm going to have peace that I've done all I can do, and I will continue to advocate. And I really come in love. I don't come in anger. I just know that I've been diligently standing in my Ellie Joy Park Service Award. I enjoy the grounds. I said that I wanted to be the first caregiver, and actually I am. Because I care for the grounds. As if I cannot be inside, I'll be outside. I'll do exactly what I can do, when I can do it, and how I can do it.
Ms. Summers, thank you for your comments. Your time has expired, and we want to thank you and Supervisor Harity for joining us. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes our public comments.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you for your testimony, both of you. I understand we have the manager's report coming for us. Actually, before we do this, let me introduce Nigel.
Oh, sorry. Listen, long day. I was gonna do it now. I was gonna do it in the director's report, so it seemed like it was organic. So
everyone knows it isn't. Everyone's been asking me, who is that guy?
So I would like to introduce Nigel Fields. He is news replacement. Or we were lucky to be able to bring somebody in to do a dual encumbrance for her last 3 weeks. How much? We'll take the break. Please introduce yourself. We already went through the break in general, but after.
Thanks for being here, Nigel.
Thank you.
Josh.
Turn it over to the auditor. This is Shashi Dua, who works in our financial management branch and coordinates all the information for the auditors. turn it over here to them to do their presentation.
I'm sorry, this is Malav Shet from Cherry Becker. Just want to make sure we are up for presenting.
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. Good evening, board members. Appreciate time carved out for presenting the audit results for the Parks Authority's FY25 audit results. So my name is Malav Shet. I'm the audit partner. This will be my third year serving Fairfax County and its various components, including the authority. With me is Sam Sandlin. She's the manager on the account. This would be her first year on the account. If you remember, last couple of years, Zach was the manager on it, and because of various changes, Sam is now leading this audit as a manager in there. So with that, we'll start with the presentation. At any point, if there are any questions, please let us know. I can't see everybody's hands or faces, and I apologize I couldn't be in person for this year. Hopefully I'll be there for next year to present this in person. So moving on to the next page. This is just a brief agenda for our presentation. On to the next page is basically our team that we have for the parks audit. Like I said, Sam, myself, and then we have seniors and staff that help us with the audit. Scott Anderson is our second reviewer. Every audit that goes through Cherry Becker has a second set of eyes from a quality standpoint in reviewing the financial statements, just to make sure from a GAAP compliance perspective, those are they come in cold in making sure that everything is disclosed properly in the financial statement as part of the quality control. The next page is, I guess, the most important page of the audit. This summarizes the results. And the main, if you look at the financial statements for the Park Authority, it's about 150 pages with a lot of information in it. Out of all that information, there are 3 pages that are Cherry Becker's pages. That's our opinion on the financial statements. And as in prior years, the Park Authority received an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. As I have said before in prior years, it's a reasonable statement. It's not absolute assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. Part of the reason being is we do not audit each and every transaction that happens during the year. We definitely audit all the material transactions that happen, but there are a lot more other transactions that happen during the Park Authority. In addition to the authority's financial statements, the foundation, the Park Foundation, gets a separate audited financial statements. We did not audit those financial statements. Those were audited by other auditors, which we relied on as part of providing opinion on the overall Parks Authority's financial statements. In addition to these 2 audited statements, there are a couple of other opinions that we provide. One is in accordance to the government auditing standards, and then there are specifications that the auditors of public account issues as part of their maintenance of making sure that various laws of Commonwealth of Virginia are ensured that they are adhered to, and we did not note any issues or instances of non-compliance, both under the government auditing standards or the specifications. So overall, a very good result, and kudos to management. There's a lot of information that we ask as part of our audit. We make sure we confirm a lot of balances and test a lot of transactions, specifically on the revenue side for various charges for services. So there's a lot of back and forth that happens over a period of 2 months. And I appreciate all the help from Ms. Dua and her team and everybody at the Park Authority in helping us getting to this result that you're seeing in front of us. The next page goes a little bit into the internal control. I always get asked about internal controls, and are internal controls working properly at the park authority? So as part of the audit, we look at internal controls to kind of devise our audit procedures and how are we testing those balances. So the effectiveness, to opine on the effectiveness of internal control is not the objective of the audit. That being said, as part of a review, if we do run across any issues with internal control or any policies or procedures that need updating, we would definitely talk to management about it. And if you go to the next page, if there are material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we note as part of our audit, those would be disclosed to the board also. When we are happy to report, we did not find any control deficiencies that we believe to be material weakness. So overall, a very great result. No material weakness, and there were no significant deficiencies to be reported also. The next page it just talks about corrected and uncorrected misstatements. Corrected misstatements would be any misstatements that we would identify as part of our audit and management would correct it in preparing the financial statements. So those would be disclosed here. Uncorrected misstatements are usually very immaterial misstatements that we would identify, and management decided not to incorporate that in preparing the financial statements. But in both cases, there were none noted as part of auditing the financial statement. So the trial balance, the numbers that we received at the start of the audit, when we audited all those numbers and transactions, we did not find any misstatements that we would have to report there also. Next page kind of goes a little bit over the qualitative aspects of the financial statements. I'll have Sam Sandlin kind of walk us through the next few pages. Sam?
Thanks, Maliv. Yeah, so the next few slides, we have a couple of different qualitative aspects that are part of our audit, in addition to, all of the quantitative stuff we looked at, like Maliv talked about. Part of the things we look at are significant accounting policies. A full list of those is in the notes to the financial statements. A couple new GASB pronouncements this year that were implemented by the authority. That's going to be GASB 101 related to compensated absences, which did result in a restatement to beginning net position for fiscal year 25. And then also GASB number 102, which pertains more to risk disclosures, and there were no material effects to the authority's financial statements based on that implementation. Next slide. Another thing we look at during the audit is any related parties of the authority and any transactions the authority has with those related parties, and then any disclosures that are required as a result of those transactions. And during the audit, we noted no issues regarding related parties or any undisclosed related parties to the authority. Next slide. The next qualitative aspect we look at are just any significant or unusual transactions. And for fiscal year 25, we noted no unusual transactions that fall out of just the normal course of business of the authority. Next slide. So the next one is related to significant estimates that management uses in certain areas. These, can include some judgment and assumptions made by management. So part of the audit, we will look into those just from a reasonableness standpoint, as it relates to the financial statements as a whole. Nothing out of the ordinary here either as it relates to the authority. Next slide. And then the last qualitative aspect is just the financial statement disclosures. Just a note here that they're, consistent with prior years and neutral and clear to be read. Next one. So our standards require that we be independent from the authority, and we're not aware of any circumstances that would create a threat to that independence. And we also did not perform any non-attest services to the authority outside of the audit. Next slide. And then just a couple other communications here. During the audit, we had encountered no difficulties, no disagreements with management, nothing we came across that would require us to make any outside consultations. So like Malav said, a pretty smooth, easy audit, nothing crazy going on. The next slide, just a few other communications. Just another thing, no fraud or illegal acts that we are aware of, no other issues that we encountered, and we're also not aware of any conditions that would indicate substantial doubt about the authority's ability to continue as a going concern. So next slide. So in the authority's financial report, there is required supplementary information in addition to, the basic financial statements. This information, we will compare to the financial statements and evaluate it just kind of for consistency and appropriateness. And then anything else contained in the annual report is not kind of included in the audit opinion. We don't perform procedures over it, but just, read through it for consistency and anything like that. Next slide. And then just a note, like I mentioned in the beginning, for the new GASB pronouncements that were effective this year, there are 2 more on the horizon effective for fiscal year 26 that were, currently being evaluated. The first one, GASB 103, which will just impact, some format and maybe requirements of some of the required supplementary information, management's discussion and analysis, things like that outside of the financial statements. And then GASB 104, which will just expand certain disclosures required for capital assets. So those are in review by management and will be implemented as part of the fiscal year 26 audit. And I believe that is all we have. Malav, anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know a lot of pages with information, but at the end of the day, great audit, no findings to report, and ultimately, there's a lot of information in the financial report, and hoping if there are any questions, we can definitely answer any questions that the board has.
Anybody got anything? No, you're off the hook.
Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, the moment everyone has been waiting, for, I mean dreading, not waiting. Someone remind me,
The best one for her, for my last one, didn't they?
someone remind me if I do use the item.
Her name is spelled A-I-M, A-M-Y.
Thank you, Chris.
Sorry.
All right. Some people are helpful and some people are not. Administrative item number 1 is the recommended approval of the resolution honoring Amy Vaughn. So I have a motion. And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Whereas Amy Vosper has served the Fairfax County Park Authority with distinction for more than 10 years, provided steady leadership in the stewardship and development of one of the largest park systems in the country, demonstrated genuine care for the well-being of Park Authority staff, stakeholders, and partners, and has been a passionate champion of parks as green sanctuaries across the county. Whereas Amy's leadership is countless capital projects, from the renovation of the new 139,000 square foot Mount Vernon Rec Center to progressive land acquisition that moved the Park Authority closer to the goal of setting aside 10% of the county as parkland, set the standards of park accessibility and recreational lifestyle in Fairfax County, and advancing shared goals in building trust between the Park Authority, the county, friends, groups, and partners, and helping to ensure our parks remain safe and welcoming spaces for the community during the pandemic at a time when people needed them most. And whereas Amy masterfully balanced political challenges, showed great sensitivity, and understanding while underscoring the importance of preservation projects, especially with the historical underserved communities, seeing many public-private partnerships to fruition, including the ratification of the Great Falls Grange Foundation MOU, the completion of the dual-use basketball and futsal courts at Stratton Woods Park, and the opening of the urban green space, Merrifield Strawberry Park in the Mosaic District, and finally completing a once never-ending to-do list that caused her to go through a legal writing path at speed of lightning. Or has her vision and strategic leadership have strengthened the stewardship and planning, resource management, development, marketing, and communications disciplines of the Park Authority in lasting ways. Amy's impact will be felt for years to come, and her distinguished service is aligned with the gold standard of what it means to be a public servant. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Fairfax County Park Authority that it expresses appreciation and thanks to Amy Vosper for outstanding contributions to the Fairfax County Park Authority and residents of Fairfax County. It's adopted by the Fairfax County Park Authority Board on December 10, 2025. Congratulations, Amy. Yeah.
You're turning in the barrel.
I'm speechless. Thank you very much for this. It's beautiful. Kind words. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here. And to be with our colleagues. They were fantastic. All of you, both the board and everyone all over the place, especially right here, are just so passionate and are doing such great things for this park system. I'm just so happy to be part of that. And it's been a highlight of my career to be here, to finish here and be with you guys. Oh, you know me, I don't like to talk much. So, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Video bomb a couple of the meetings coming up.
Please do. This is not yet goodbye. If everyone remembers Monday at 6 at Twin Lakes. Retirement party for Amy. Many of you there. Again, Monday, 6 p.m. for like Twin Lakes. Right. Administrative item number 2 is the recommended adoption of the minutes of the October 8th, 2025 Park Authority Board meeting. And October 8th is not right. November 12th, 2025 Park Authority Board. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Countywide action item 1 is the recommended approval of the calendar year 2026 fee adjustments. And second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The Dranesville District action item number 2 is the recommended approval. Dranesville District action item number 2 is the recommended approval of the project scope, the construction of natural surface trails and a parking lot.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mount Vernon District, action item number 3 is the recommended approval of the Mastonbrook Volunteer Matching Funds Grant Program request. West Grove PAC in the amount of $10,084.47.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Countywide action item number 4 is the recommended approval of the fundraising project list for the Park Foundation fiscal year 26. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And there's 5 info items tonight. Information 1 is the Summer Camp 2025 update. Info 2 is the Patriot Park North update. Info 3 is the FY 25 Natural Resource Management Plan accomplishments and the fiscal year 26 implementation plan. And information 4 is the FY 26 first quarter budget review, Fund 4400, Park General Operations Fund. And information 5 is the FY 26 first quarter budget review, Fund 8000, Park Revenue Operating Fund. All of these items were presented to and reviewed by the Park Authority Board during committee meetings held on November 12th, 2025. Just one item today for me, just to remind everyone that Tuesday, we have our joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors at 1:30.
Directors matters. Fairly quick items. Last week started our holiday on the farm at Franken Farm Park. If you've never been, it's a wonderful activity to come with family members. There's things to do in the barn. We have meet and greet with Santa, cozying by the campfire, doing s'mores, making crafts, and visiting the friendly farm animals even at night. Also, the wagon rides through the lights through the fire road is a fantastic addition. So please make sure to make it out to there. We're also the children's holiday shopping at Coven Rail. 95 children stopped by the 1890s general store at Coven Run with volunteers from the National Charity League. Gifts were wrapped by volunteers in the Education Center. You know what? You don't know what that is. I should probably explain it to you. It's a time when parents bring kids and they have sort of fake money, but they go and they shop for gifts for their parents to go. I believe there's like a ski trip in there somewhere, or maybe a trip to Hawaii. Maybe not. Next slide. Okay, first hike is coming up. We're not gonna have another board meeting until next year, which is crazy. But I just wanted to remind everybody, right now, Marcom is pushing it out on social media. Please put it out on your social media as well. For those of you who are new to the board, first hike is a national thing. It happens everywhere, but we really sort of lean into it. At the Park Authority, it's go out to any FCPA trail on the 1st of January and snap a photo to commemorate your experience, and you submit it by noon Friday the 2nd. There are prizes. There's People's Choice Award, Judges Choice Award. There's Best in Show for scenery, people, wildlife, and pets. I actually get to pick one of them. Those of you who don't know and who doesn't know that some of the best wildlife photography happens at Huntley Meadows. We've won the best birding photo in the world from Huntley Meadows. So we get some really phenomenal professional photography. These are just some of the examples from previous first hikes. So please push it out on social media and please go out yourself and snap a photo and submit it. There is a director's, I get to pick one, so I don't know.
I think if one of us can make it happen.
Do I know? I don't know.
Otherwise it'll come up.
It might, it's fine. Well, just two of you pick it, then I don't have to deal with that thing. So I did want to put out, again, in memoriam of Harry Glasgow, Celebration of Life is going to be held on Tuesday, the 16th at 11 at Laurel Hill Golf Club. Follow. So if you can make it out to there, please do. At the bottom is a link to Harry's obituary, visitation, and all information. We wanted to make sure we got that out to you. And I believe that's it. Oh, sorry, upcoming events. So upcoming events that we're working on Thursday, the 11th, we have a public meeting on the Peak Family Cemetery Preservation Project. That's in the Gum Springs community at MLK Junior Park. Again, first hike tomorrow, the 11th, yes, tomorrow. First hike Fairfax Photo Contest, again on the 1st. Saturday on February 21st, Lunar New Year celebration at Twin Lakes Golf Course. That's always a huge celebration. I invite you all to come out. It's a phenomenal event. And then here's some highlighted holiday events. And so we've got, again, Holiday in the Farm at Frying Pan, Holiday at Ugly Sweater Skate and Dance Night at Franconia, Skate at the Mill at Cobra Run Mill on the 13th through Sunday the 14th, Candy Cane Lane Mini Golf at Oakmont Rec Center, Saturday the 13th, 3 to 7 p.m. And Saturdays and Sundays through the 21st of December from 11 to 5 is the Winter Wonderland at Berkeley Park. There are multiple ways that you can celebrate the holidays and celebrate winter at Fairfax County Park Authority. I highly encourage you to take advantage of one of those opportunities. And I believe that is it.
Faisal? All right, so first I want to thank Bobby for an excellent presentation on the foundation thing she's doing. And also Brandon, Muhammad, Cham, and all these guys are doing a wonderful job. I want to thank them for that. And last, not the least, Amy, you will be missed. I didn't realize that it's been 10 years.
Almost 11.
Yeah, so I hope you find a way to hang around, and that would be really useful, actually. Thank you.
Mike Thompson.
Amy, your expertise, your knowledge of all things that were, you pointed to, you could find an answer, you could point me to where the answers were, you could tell me where I was wrong, you could help me find, tremendous benefit.
That a lot.
It requires a lot. So, but I truly appreciate everything you gave. I'm sure other people are thinking about this, but I'm hopeful that we're going to do something for Harry that is meaningful at some level. I don't know what that looks like. I can think of various things, but I hope we do something to recognize what he gave to the county and to the park authority, both through his service here on this board, to the foundation and through the other things he did in his life that were so beneficial to the community. Again, I don't know what that would be, but I hope we give serious consideration to doing it. Tell you.
Good credits. Thanks, Amy. That's all I've got.
Linwood.
Only start because I will never be able to thank everybody enough for everything they did for the Mountain Riders and include the ceremony 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Just thousands of people, spectacular, beautiful, beautiful facilities. So a lot of people involved. It's never ever to be able to thank everybody enough for everything they did for that second of all. I haven't worked with anybody at the Park Authority that I like better than working with you, Amy. You're one of, if not the most honorable and sincere person that I've ever met. It's you.
Rick. First, thanks Amy for helping a new person get acquainted with board here, and kept her busy all the way up to the end here. I want to thank her and the other Park Authority staff for their help on that little sidewalk in the public right of way adjacent to Justice Park in my district.
Kind words for Harry. Harry's a special guy. We should plant a tree somewhere for Harry. I think he would really appreciate that. That would be Harry. And Kirk Kincannon told me some 11 years ago that he was going to go steal somebody special. And he did. So thank you, congratulations. And now you got time to practice for whatever you're going to do in the senior year.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, I haven't gotten to know you for that long. It's only been a couple of years, but you know, everything that you've done for the Park Authority and just generally to raise spirits, it's really appreciated. And I know you're going to have a fabulous retirement. Hopefully you'll get to relax in some of that retirement. I'm not sure if that's even possible. At some point in your life, you should. Thanks.
Amy, thank you for your service to the Park Authority, and thank you for your help and guidance getting me onboarded.
Dr. Carter?
Yes. It has been wonderful working with you, Amy, all of this time. You always have such a bright, smiling face and always been there to help and to answer any questions. And you will truly, truly be missed. But I'm going to find you so that we could go to lunch sometime. I wanted to say also that I lost my son, our eldest son, last month, and he'd been through a long illness. And for those who knew about it, I want to thank you so much for your kind words of comfort. Carl and I truly appreciate that. And so wanted to say that to you now. Also, about Harry, somehow we claim him in Huntley Meadows. So maybe we could place a plaque there or do something like that. I don't know, but I think if we're going to find a special place to memorialize Harry, we would love for that to be maybe at Huntley Meadows or some place close to birds where he loved birds so much. So that's it, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Abida?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to staff for an amazing job this year. We've had a lot of presentations, so thank you for all your hard work. I'm a little upset, Amy, that my opposition didn't get registered, so you get to go. But thank you so much. You have been very kind to me and very, very helpful. I always remember the day you drove all the way to my house to make sure I had the materials I needed. That was way above and beyond. But congratulations on an excellent career and all the best as you relax. I will not be jealous. Enjoy.
Harry was a special, exceptional person. One of the ways we as individuals could honor him is to make an in memoriam contribution to the Park Foundation in his name. Any such donations will be the use and whether they're unrestricted or applied to a program or one of our programs that will be decided by his longtime partner and his family. So just a thought that I throw out there. Secondly, Amy, talk about special people. So thankful to have had the opportunity to work with you these years. You've offered sage and yet pragmatic advice. And you have shown an example of, just like Sarah and Jay, the senior staff as a whole, of being the human shields that are warding off the darts that are coming to you from our various supervisory districts. So thank you for both those roles, and best wishes.
A closed session this evening. Dr. Carter, you have a motion for us?
This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I move the Park Authority Board recess and convene in closed session for discussion and consideration of matters enumerated in Virginia Code 2.2-3711 and listed in the agenda for this meeting as follows. A discussion or consideration of the acquisition of publicly held real estate for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion is in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A3. Under that, A, discussion on the land acquisition work plan items, A1A, in the Mount Vernon district adjacent to Mount Eagle Park, A1B, in the Sully district, A1C, a property in the Hunter Mill district. A2, approval of the negotiations pertaining to the property adjacent to Annandale Park in the Mason district. And B, consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7. And B, 1, update on Centerville High School discussions on floor area ratio, FAR, in the Springfield and Sully districts.
Thank you. That's the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We go into closed session once the door.
I'll close the door.
And assume something's going to be.
Why?
Dr. Carter, you have a motion for us? You're on mute.
You're still on mute.
Oh,
Still on mute.
We can't hear you either.
There we go, there we go. Now we go.
Thought we were lip reading. Okay. This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter.
Now we can.
Good.
Go.
Are we ready?
Yes, please.
Been ready. Born ready.
This is Cynthia Jacobs Carter, and I move the Park Authority Board return to open session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? That motion carries. We will now certify the topics discussed in closed session. Remember, this does end with a roll call vote. Dr. Carter, you have another motion?
I move the Park Authority Board certify that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Virginia Code 2.2-3711, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the board.
Second. All right, we're gonna go in alphabetical order. Please let us know if you're voting aye or nay. Abner. Bill.
All right.
Dr. Carter.
Aye.
Linwood.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
I hear Jose.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mike. Aye. Jonah.
Aye.
I also vote aye. All right.
This is Linwood Forum. I'd like to make a motion not to remove the property from the district from the land management.
So you're making the motion not to remove. So you vote no to remove.
No, he's just, it's in the motion. This is,
Make the motion to not remove it.
That's the suggested.
Needs,
It's the motion.
Needs a second.
needs a second.
Well, I'll second, because I don't think it should die on lack of consent.
Fair enough. So we had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Those opposed? Nay, nay. The nays have it.
Just remember, just remember. Just for one little thing, that's the time.
That's more than the thing. Okay.
Vernon Rec Center is all I have to say.
So does that mean it will be?
Well,
It means it will be.
it will be removed. That's how I would interpret it, but if we think we need to do.
Sometimes
But
you
we're
might.
removing it, but it doesn't.
I thought that I
No,
thought that.
that was what I thought, just-
So I think that he was, his point to adjust the thing, so that
He
that
was not
died.
reading the literal words on.
Right, so that died, so now it's up as it stands, so you would then
Yeah, we
Vote
don't have
on
to
it.
vote
vote on it, stand
Yeah,
yes.
so I'm going to make a motion to approve that the staff recommendation to remove the property in the Mount Vernon. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Is that,
I want to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to remove the property discussed in Sully District from Land Management Work Plan. I second.
all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Bill?
I make a motion to approve staff recommendation to remove the work plan discussed in Hunter Mill District, and manage work plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Rick?
I make a motion to approve the updated funding range for the property district. Closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Closed session item B with information only. There's no action. We're expired there. Everyone have a great holiday season. Hope to see you both.
Merry Christmas, happy holiday.
Those of you on Monday and Tuesday, and to those I don't, we'll see you in the new year. We are adjourned.
Monday is Amy's party.
Tuesday.